Hello everyone. I have already posted a video on the oogenesis, as I already told that it is a complex process in which there is a formation of ovum from the primordial germ cells, and along with that some cyclic changes occurs in the cortex part of the ovary. The ovary is a female gonad and it is divided into the cortex, outermost part, and the medulla. Some cyclic changes occurs in the cortex part of the ovary and during each menstrual cycle, and these changes are formation of the follicle, release of the ovum, and the secretion of the different hormones. So first we have the primordial germ cells before the birth in the cortex part of the ovary. These primordial germ cells forms the oogonia with the help of the mitosis, and these oogonia transforms into the primary oocyte when their size becomes enlarged, and this is the nucleus of the primary oocyte. And this primary oocyte is surrounded with the stromal cells. These are the cells of the connective tissue, stromal cells and fibers present in the cortex part of the ovary. And just before the birth, these primary oocytes are surrounded by some stromal cells, and these cells becomes flat, and these are known as the follicular cells. And these are the flat follicular cells, and these are only one layer thick. So now this primary oocyte surrounded with this follicular cell, one layer thick flat follicular cell, this structure is known as the primordial follicle. Primordial follicle in which there is primary oocyte is present. These changes occur before the birth, and it is under the meiotic first division. This primary oocyte is under the meiotic first division, and after that, at the time of the puberty, this primordial follicle changes into the primary follicle, in which these flat follicular cells becomes cuboidal or columnar in the shape, and this is again one layer thick. This is the unilaminar primary follicle, and this is the primary oocyte. This is the primary oocyte, this is the nucleus of the primary oocyte, and the layer of the glycoprotein is secreted by the follicular cells, that is the zona pellucida. So now we have nucleus of the primary oocyte, zona pellucida, and follicular cells with one layer thick, and these are the stromal cells. These also differentiate to form the theca cells. And the next change in this primary follicle is the follicular cells becomes more and more, and there are more cell layer thick follicular cells, and these are also known as the granulosa cell. Here it is one cell layer thick, here there are two cell layer thick follicular cells are present, and this is the multilaminar primary follicle along with the zona pellucida and with the differentiated stromal cells that are known as the theca cells. And here what happens, the follicular cells secrete the fluid, and there are some fluid filled cavities are present. As there are formation of the fluid filled cavities in the follicular cells, now this follicle is known as the secondary follicle. This oocyte is still in the form of the primary oocyte. So in the secondary follicle we have the primary oocyte, zona pellucida, follicular cells, fluid filled cavities, and these are the theca layer of the stromal cells. After that, as the meiotic second division begins, these all follicular cells united with each other, and these fluid filled cavities unite with each other and forms a single cavity, that is the antrum, and this is the tertiary follicle, mature follicle, or graffian follicle, and along the periphery there are the follicular or granulosa cells are present, and there are the theca layers are present, which are differentiated into the two cell layers. The one innermost is the theca interna, it is a cellular layer, and the outermost is a fibrous layer, it is the theca externa. The role of the theca interna is it secretes the estrogen, and here at the periphery, as this antrum is formed, this oocyte is pushed to the periphery. Now it is present at the periphery. Now it is in the form of the secondary oocyte. Here it is the primary oocyte, here it is the secondary oocyte covered with the zona pellucida, and this layer of the follicular cells which surround this secondary oocyte, this is the corona radiata. corona radiata, and these all cells through which this secondary oocyte is attached to this basement membrane. This is the discus proligerus, and these cells are which are accumulated at the wall of this secondary oocyte. These are the cumulus oophorus. So this 4 number is theca interna, this 3 number is discus proligerus, 1 number is for zona pellucida, 2 number is for corona radiata, and 5 number is for theca externa. By the day 14, ovulation occurs and the secondary oocyte release with the zona pellucida and corona radiata, and rest of the follicular cells, granulosa cells, changes to the polygonal type of the cells, and this is the temporary endocrine gland, and this is known as the corpus luteum after the day 14, as it is a 28-day cycle which begins in the ovary, and that is the ovarian cycle. Now this corpus luteum will secrete the progesterone. Till here we will have the estrogen secreted by the theca interna. Now we have the progesterone. Now all the changes which takes place in the uterus, in the endometrium of the uterus after the day 14, it is under the effect of the progesterone. If fertilization occurs and the second meiotic division completes here, so there will be formation of the ovum, and this corpus luteum will persist for 3 to 4 months and keep secreting the progesterone. If fertilization does not occur, this secondary oocyte will degenerate without completing the second meiotic division, and this corpus luteum will also degenerate after 14 days. Its life is about 14 days, and there is a scar of the fibrous tissue is remained here, and that is the corpus albicans. Now there are so many follicles are there. There are so many follicles with the primary oocyte. Only about 5 to 30 follicles begins to mature, and only 1 follicle transforms into the graffian follicle. The rest of the follicles will degenerate out of that 5 to 30 follicles and becomes the atretic follicles, and after that there will be atretic follicles, and that follicles will be phagocytosed by the macrophages present in the ovary, and with the next cycle, the cycle again starts from the primary oocyte, secondary oocyte, follicle, primordial follicle, primary follicle, secondary follicle, and tertiary follicle, and the formation of the corpus luteum, which is a temporary endocrine gland, and this is the corpus albicans. So this is about the ovarian cycle. So some